So, the new Mortal Kombat movie comes out in a few days. I know people are excited. I already uploaded my review. Of course, you have your little fanboys or whatever who got butthurt over my opinion of the movie, which was astoundingly negative, but I could care less. This video is going to be a spoiler discussion on the new Mortal Kombat movie while I'm playing Mortal Kombat 11. I'm gonna turn the sound down. So, okay. So, what actually went wrong with the new Mortal Kombat movie? Well, there's quite a few things that did not work. I'm trying to choose. Think about what character I want to play as here. Yeah, fuck it. I'll do Kung Lao. Let's start with the characters and why the characters weren't good in this movie. For example, the character that I'm playing as, Kung Lao. Kung Lao is an awesome character. They got like his hat thing that he does where he comes out of the ground. They got that shit right, and you know I was excited to see that character, and he comes on screen. I am Kung Lao of the great Kung Lao. And I'm like, okay, let's see what you do with Kung Lao. Kung Lao has one fatality sequence, and then he's killed off by Shang Tsung, and you never see him again. He's in the movie for maybe like 30 minutes, tops. That's what they do with Kung Lao. You never learn anything about him, and then on top of that, he really is just a chauffeur to Liu Kang. Speaking of Liu Kang's not even that great in the movie. Why? Because he's not even the main character, so the focus isn't really on him. And if you compare that to the 1995 film, he's basically the main character for that. The way he was in the original the original Mortal Kombat games before the reboot. So my thing is, you know, we have all these characters that are in the movie. None of them are getting developed properly. You know, another good example is Cabal. You know, we don't really learn anything about Cabal. We never see Cabal's face. You know, what's the point? What's the point of having him in the movie other than for him to be like this CGI effect, you know? Makes no sense. Then we have Sonya Blade. Sonya Blade in this movie is basically the same character that she is from the games, which means that she's boring as shit, and that's why they needed Johnny Cage in the movie. If you're gonna have a movie where you have Sonya Blade, you can't neglect putting Johnny Cage in your movie, because Johnny Cage is what makes Sonya Blade interesting. You really can't have one without the other. Johnny Cage by himself is just an annoying asshole. Sonya Blade is just a boring, you know, stuck-up bitch. That's what she is. The two of them together are comedic gold. So why would you have a movie, a Mortal Kombat movie, where you have one without the other? Even the most recent movie before the live action reboot, Scorpion's Revenge. Oh shit! But even that movie with Scorpion's Revenge had both Johnny Cage and Sonya in it. So and then, you know, there's Kano. Kano in the movie is just super annoying, as I said in my review. Kano does not really have a personality that really distinguishes him, you know, from the game, which is fine. The only problem with that is that the character in the game actually has some level of intelligence, and the character that's in the movie doesn't. Kano in the movie is just an asshole, and he's not very smart. And we know he's not very smart because of the scene between him and Sonya, where Sonya talks him into helping her and Cole out, and she basically says she'll give him $3 million. And Kano from the games doesn't come across as an idiot, an asshole, yes, not an idiot though. The Kano in the movie, as soon as he hears $3 million, he's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and help you out. but you better not double cross me or else you'll pay for it. And it's like, dude, Sonya said it herself. She lives in a piece of shit fucking trailer. You think someone like her has $3 million? And it's not just that scene either. It's also the table scene. So they have a scene in the movie where all the characters are basically like sitting at this table or whatever, and they're eating a meal together. So my thing is, this is a good chance for the movie to, you know, for the audience to learn more about the characters. But instead, what it turns into is a little stupid wisecracking scene for Kano, where he basically just won't shut up and he continues to make these wisecracks that aren't even funny. And the entire time I'm looking at the scene and I'm like, only someone who doesn't watch a whole lot of movies would find this hilarious, find this entertaining. To me, I found it tasteless and I found it just irritating, because the motherfucker wouldn't shut up. Then we have Raiden in this movie. We have I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Raiden in the movie, but Raiden is not Christopher Langdon. Not only that, but he's not even in the movie that much. So it's like, why'd you guys even put Raiden in the movie if he's not even going to be in here that much? And actually, a lot of the characters actually suffer from that, which is, you know, not enough screen time for all the major characters from the games and shit. They have, for example, Natara in this movie. We don't learn anything about that character really at all. Shang Tsung has a brief intro line for Natara, and then she basically has one fight sequence. She's fatality'd by Kung Lao, and that's it. You know, I really don't understand, once again, what the filmmakers were trying to accomplish with this. And you know, you do see some of the good characters or whatever, some of the most popular Mortal Kombat characters in the movie, but then they're on screen for like 5 seconds. So it really doesn't matter. Oh, and by the way, regarding Kano, they got his eye patch wrong. He doesn't have an eye patch in the movie. He fights Reptile, and then Reptile like scratches his face, and then he has like 3 scratch marks along the side of his face. They could have at least, you know, put in the mechanical eyepiece or whatever to try and make it more like the game. But, you know, some people are fanboys and will defend anything. Oh, it's a reboot. What are you complaining for? What the fuck you mean I'm complaining for? Why can't they have this? What I'm looking at right now on the screen. Why couldn't they put his eye patch in the movie? Clearly they had the budget. Speaking of which, a lot of the special effects that they had in the movie, the only cool effect that kind of worked was Sub-Zero's ice. But it's like, you know, how hard is that really? Everything else just looked kind of cheap, especially Goro. Goro looks awful in this movie. The CGI on him looks like fucking Dwayne Johnson from Scorpion King 2.0. And so the movie suffers from having too many characters that are not developed because they can't reasonably have enough screen time for everybody. And so what they should have done is what they did with the 1995 film. You know, what happened with that is, and just limit the number of characters that's in the movie. And, you know, had they have done that, then there would have been enough screen time for us to learn about some of the you know, the popular characters or whatever. And then there's the Cole character. Now, apparently, Warner Brothers, maybe it was a Warner Brothers decision to include a movie, you know, include a character that's not from the games in the movie, but it's like, why would you do something like that? There's enough characters in Mortal Kombat that they could have focused on. Primarily, Scorpion. You know, Scorpion already had an introductory scene, an intro scene where his family is killed by Sub-Zero and his, you know, in the Lin Kuei. Why not, you know, make him the main character? Instead, after that scene, Scorpion is not seen again until the very end of the fucking movie. And people liked this movie? Really? On top of that, he barely uses anything that's, you know, related to fire as far as his abilities go. And then they got the eyes wrong, too. He doesn't have like the ghost-like specter eyes or whatever that he has in the games. So it doesn't even feel like Scorpion. You compare that to the 1995 film, you know, they actually got the character right.
Get over here!
Again, why did people like this movie? Also, speaking of which, there's Sub-Zero that's in the movie. Sub-Zero, we don't learn anything about Sub-Zero. He mentions things like the Lin Kuei as if, you know, anyone who hasn't played the games is supposed to know what the hell that is. I know what the Lin Kuei is because, you know, I played the games and I already know who these characters are and everything. But movie needs to explain certain things so we can have, you know, more of a grounded understanding as to, you know, who these characters are. We don't know who the Lin Kuei is. The Lin Kuei is not ever explained, you know, what that is, or, you know, where Sub-Zero actually comes from. It's just something that's basically mentioned as an Easter egg for anyone who has played the games. You know, this is a movie. You can't just write the movie for people who played the games, because it's a motion picture. That's why, like, people who complain about dumb shit like novel adaptations being better than, you know, the novel being better than the movie. It's like the movie isn't the novel. There are going to be differences, but at the same time, you want the movie to be as close to the source material as possible, unless they're taking things out for, you know, the sake of runtime. But in this movie's case, that doesn't really apply because they wrote their own story. It's not an adaptation of the narrative that's in the video games. So why not, you know, spend some more time and explain what certain things are, such as the Lin Kuei. Or another good example is the scene with Kano and Cabal when they're arguing. And, you know, Cabal mentions the Black Dragon. What the hell is the Black Dragon? For anyone who doesn't play the games, we don't know what the Black Dragon is. So why in the hell, you know, would you mention it in the movie if it's not really, you know, important to the plot, or if it's not being mentioned as a means to develop one of the characters, which in this case it would be Kano. Then we have Molina. And I'm not a big fan of the Molina character, but I understand that there are a lot of people who really love this character. They completely butchered Molina in this movie. First of all, they race-bended her for basically no reason. Then the Glasgow smile or whatever that they gave her is like, it's extremely weak if you compare it to the character from the games. Like, the design of Molina is just awful. Like, their design of Molina is just awful in the movie. And then we don't really learn anything about her. You can't learn anything about Molina because, you know, clearly this is not the character from the games. The character from the games actually has a backstory. There's no Katana in the movie. There's no Shao Kahn. So what's the point? What's the point of having Molina in the movie if, you know, you're not going to have Katana or Shao Kahn in there? And then they just kill her off. She's not even important because they just discard her almost immediately. She's basically impaled and her body just drops to the floor, and it's like, oh, that's it for Molina. If they try and introduce Katana into the next movie, if they even have the opportunity to make a next movie, you know, it's a wasted opportunity. I think the most accurate characters from the movie are Sonya and Sub-Zero. And even then, like I said, Sonya is boring without Johnny Cage, and Sub-Zero, we really don't learn anything about Sub-Zero. He's just the bad guy with the cold, brooding voice. Let's talk about the fatalities. So I mentioned in my review that there are no fatalities that are in the movie that aren't in the games. We had the one fatality or whatever with Liu Kang, where he summons the fire dragon or whatever, and he burdens Cabal. You know, that's something that's in the games. almost verbatim, they copied that exact move from the games, like the whole thing. Then we have the move with Kung Lao and his hat or whatever, where he slices Nitara in half. That's something that's in the games. We had the fatality with Shang Tsung, where he basically rips Kung Lao's soul from his body. That's something that's in the games. It's like every single fatality that was in the movie is in the games. Why not just play the games? Because the fatalities are obviously better in the games. Then there's the dialogue. The dialogue in this Mortal Kombat movie is just awful. One of the reasons that I really hated certain characters like Kano is because they just had this gratuitous profanity. Like, every other line was like the word fuck or the word shit. And it's like they were trying to force an R rating without actually earning it. The dialogue came across as like very juvenile and just clearly not well thought out. There was no consistency with it. At times it was like really cheesy. You know, they're trying to make me laugh, but the lines that the actors have to say is like so on the nose that it's like none of it feels like it's believable. And one could say, well, it's just a video game movie. Why are you taking it so seriously? And it's like, dude, it's a fucking movie that you pay to go see. What are you talking about? Why are your fucking standards so low? And they couldn't help themselves but throw in, certain moves from the games and shit, such as Liu Kang's bicycle kick, which just comes out of nowhere. Dude, I'm okay with fan service, but when the rest of the movie is shit, that's when that's the only time fan service actually works, is when everything else is good. And when it comes to like fan service for like the martial arts and shit, the action sequences were like surprisingly short. But that's because clearly they were running out of time. And they wanted they wanted all the characters to shine in some way and to have their little moment of glory on screen. So certain characters die off much faster than they should. And certain characters of, what I'm talking about is like, for example, Nitara is in the movie for maybe like 20 minutes, tops. And then they kill her off. Same thing with Kung Lao. Same thing with Goro. Goro is in the movie for like 10 minutes. And then Cole basically chops him up and he just dies. It's like, what's the point? What was the point of having him in the movie in the first place? If you're just going to kill some of these characters off within the span of a few minutes, and then we learn nothing about them. They're just there, basically for fan service. And to serve as this gory death for people who want to see the fatalities. It's like, fuck that. Like I said, the movie would have been better served if they had limited the number of characters that were in the script, but they didn't do that. Hell, they could have made the entire movie about Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. Their whole feud. And they really didn't do that because they had all these other characters that were in the movie. And I didn't give a shit about Cole or his girlfriend or their daughter. I didn't care. There's the tease that they had at the end of the movie with Johnny Cage or whatever. They have like a Johnny Cage poster and it has, you don't see the character, but you see his belt and it has his last name on it, like from the game. It says Cage up on there. That shit was just lazy. It was cheap. It was another slap to the face because it's like, you don't know if this movie's going to have a sequel or not. If it's going to be successful enough at the box office, which it's probably not. They did the same thing for the Power Rangers reboot. When they teased the Green Ranger in the after credits, and the movie ended up being not successful enough at the box office to where they can make a sequel. They did the same shit. So it's like, what the hell is the point, dude? What was the point of this movie? Because clearly it's not better than the games. It's not even close to being better than the games. It's not even on the same level as the games. And in the game I'm playing right now, it's not even good. And I would rather play this than watch whatever nonsense that Hollywood wants to shit out into a theater. So, it's like, the movie just had too many issues. Certain characters were just disposed of without, we never even get to know who they are. It happened with Reptile. It happened with Kung Lao. It happened with Nitara. It happened with Molina. You have certain characters or whatever that should have been in the movie, such as Katana and Shao Kahn, and those characters were just omitted for basically no reason. Even some of the actors I felt were like poorly cast, and they could have done a much better job with the casting of certain characters. One of the main ones is Liu Kang, the guy that they got to play Liu Kang. I think they could have done a much better job with that casting choice. Because if you look at Liu Kang from the 1995 film, you know, there's a huge difference as far as like his build and whatnot goes. He actually looks like the characters from the game, whereas this version, you know, it looks like this asshole didn't even train a single day before they actually started shooting on set. Like I said, man, I really don't like video game movies at all, because they are not faithful to the source material, and they inject way too much fan service in the movie. And then my thing is, Hollywood keeps releasing these things, and they never get reviewed well. Critics hate them, fans end up hating them. So it's like, you know, what the fuck is the point? Hollywood never gets video game movies right. Every single time they try and make one of these things, it turns out to be a piece of shit. Some of the most recent ones they've done, like Ratchet and Clank and Assassin's Creed, and Tomb Raider, the games were always better. Always. It's no different with Mortal Kombat 2021. It's the same thing. I'll be surprised if this new Resident Evil movie they have coming out later this year turns out to be halfway decent. And honestly, they'll be very lucky if they even have the opportunity to make a sequel. Because based off of what I saw, I'm not going to be surprised if this movie bombs at the box office. People already don't want to go to the movie theater because of the pandemic. People are already skeptical of going out to places because of the coronavirus. Not too many people are going to want to go and sit in the theater to watch some nonsense about Mortal Kombat when they can just sit at home and play the games and have a far better experience. So, you know, that's really what, you know, going into further detail that I didn't go into with my review, that's really what it boils down to. You know, they made a mediocre film. It could have been a lot better. They made some strange decisions. They injected too much fan service into the movie without actually making any of the characters important. So, again, I really don't give a shit if I have a bunch of fanboys trying to dislike bomb my review. I really don't give a shit. What that tells me is that your fucking standards are low, you have shit taste in movies, and it probably also means you're not very smart. Now, did I expect like an Academy Award winning film? You know, an Oscar nominated picture or something? Hell no. I expected, you know, a little bit of effort. And I didn't get that. I got another typical Hollywood C-grade CGI fest with a bunch of characters that I don't care about, who are underdeveloped. I got a lot of mediocre dialogue that's not even funny. Even on a basic level. And on top of that, some of my favorite characters from the game, they basically took liberties with, and so I couldn't even enjoy the movie as a fan because of some of the decisions they made regarding some of the characters. Like Kano, like Molina, like Scorpion. But hey, if you like Mortal Kombat 2021, good for you. I didn't. In reality, the games are better. Everything is better in the games. The characters are better, the fatalities are better. So it's like, why not just play the game instead of subjecting yourself to an inferior product? I mean, that's how I look at it personally. If I'm going to spend my time and my hard-earned money to go sit in the theater with a bunch of annoying-ass people for a few hours, I actually want to enjoy myself during that experience. So I feel like my money has been well spent. And all the Mortal Kombat movie did was waste my time. I would rather sit at home and play the game and not be subjected to some stupid kids sitting in the front row making a bunch of noise and having to deal with dumbass parents who don't know how to control their kids, taking them to go see a movie that's not even rated for them, and to have to put up with that and then sit in the theater and look at some piece of shit movie. That's not my idea of fun. Yep, that's my review. Well, my spoiler discussion for Mortal Kombat, the live action reboot. The original is better in every way. And it's not like the original is a great piece of cinema, because it's not. But it's far more faithful to the games, and it's far more entertaining by comparison.